Sure. Do you want to tell them what it's all about?
This is a reminder of a time when we were younger and we were having fun. And that was what being a mod at the time was all about.
And attention to detail.
Obviously.
Well, basically what our sneakers was, there was a thing called the Phoenix Society, which had its bad points, had its good points. I went along one night, this man was a member, he invited me. I said to Tony Class, the late great Tony Class, who did the Saturday nights here, your club's rubbish. I was just turned 18. You should play more R&B and have smarter people. And then the next week he went, all right, I think you can do better. You and Shirley run Sunday nights. And he came up with the name Sneakers from, where'd you get it from?
High heel sneakers, Tommy Tucker.
I wanted to call it Le Chat Noir. What a toss-up. We opened in November 1983 and there was 150 people the first week. The second week there was 15 people. And we sort of struggled on through the winter of 83 into early 84. And by early 84, there was people, you know, Jim would think nothing of travelling from Ilford all the way here on a Sunday night. That was unheard of before. And the same with
Swindon.
Yeah, there was people from Swindon. Des would come from Cardiff and he'd stand all the way on the train to not to breach his trousers. So by the summer of 84, it was really kicking off. It took about 6 months to stop being just 30 people from Acton. And then it really, you know, it carried on and it became possibly the most loved mod club of the 80s.
Didn't think so at the time.
No, history's been very kind to it. Oh, yeah. That's the police coming to arrest you for those trousers, the fashion police.
This is the site of the old Bush Hotel pub where Sneakers used to be in 1984. So it was a very underground kind of mod club. Tony Class kind of helped set it up with Paul and Richard. And the idea of it was to kind of get the music policy of the mod scene back to more authentic mod, rhythm and blues and kind of jazzy and early soul sounds. So that was the idea of it, worked really well. It came at a really good time. It was kind of almost like a religion really. It was very important to have all the details right on the clothes. Equally important was the music, so it wasn't just the fashion thing, it was the music as well. You know, all my friends are all from East London and Essex. When we'd been up to clubs in London before, like the 100 Club, there were people from all over the country, but they weren't all mods. This was probably the first club where there were lots of people from different parts of London that were all mods, that were all getting on okay, and a lot of the tribal divisions kind of went away in here.
It was our little club. It was a club where everyone dressed smart, everyone listened to great music, different DJs, and it was our little bit of 1964 in Shepherd's Bush. Memories of Sneakers, well, I've just been thinking about it. It was always on a Sunday, which, you know, for most people nowadays that's a school night. But for us, that was the highlight of the week. We would start to go out on a Thursday at the Camden Palace, and then we'd go out on a Friday, go out on a Saturday, and Sunday was always the end of the week. But it was the week when we dress up the most because it was a peacock night. You know, all the faces would be here, all the people that we would aspire to would turn up in their like sharpest clothes, and the records were fantastic. And it was the one that you had to be at. So if you couldn't make a Thursday or you couldn't make a Friday, Sunday was the place to be. And then literally we would drive up here on our scooters, and for a lot of us it was a long way. So I used to come all the way from South London, people come from Reading, people come from Swindon, you know, but we would live it and probably finish about 10:30, 11, but we'd carry on going and go to Soho, get a coffee, and then ride home, get up the next morning and go to work. But, you know, for me, it was like that, living that sort of 60s lifestyle, and when I came to Sneakers, that's what I used to think I was doing.
Yeah, so I'm Ian Jackson. I've been a mod for many years. I've been in the Northern Soul scene. I've been a DJ for 32 years. I do a radio show. I do a lot of traveling. I also DJ for Blow Up. You know, I get about from time to time, go to worthwhile places. And I just come down to the Syndicate, which used to be the Bush on Sundays with Sneakers, very famous Sneakers. We always dress cool, listen to cool music. And the DJs were Paul Hallam and Richard Early. And we used to do the rallies. I do a lot of traveling, have a great time actually, you know. Have a great time, dress smart, you know, and have a lot to talk about as usual. People travelled. You know, we had a guy from Wales who'd come down from Wales and go back. We had people from Reading, we had people from Coventry, we had people from Birmingham. We had foreign mods, we had mods from Italy, we had mods from Germany, we had mods from Australia, you know, and we had people just came down because they wanted to be at this place. They had the commitment and the drive to come down, which was really good. And it was just nice talking to these people. Well, sneakers was very, very important actually, because it was a place where smartly dressed people could go and meet people, likewise people, and listen to really good music. You know, we just had a good time, and then afterwards we just go and grab something to eat or drink or something, or go home and get ready for the next day of work as usual. The sort of music that was being played was like rhythm and blues, jazz, a little bit of Latin, some soul, ska, Motown, Atlantic, blue beat, ska beat, some jazz. There's some lounge sounds, you know, lounge style sounds, these listic sounds, which were quite cool. It kind of reflected the sort of mood and the atmosphere of the club. It gave the club a little something, you know, something we could talk about, something that centered around us, that made us feel like something. In a lot of ways, to me, it was escapism. Escaping from sort of the humdrum thing, you know. You get up in the morning, you're gonna go to work, you're gonna put up with all the crap, and then when the night comes, you get your clothes on, you get your smart stuff on, and go down to the club like sneakers, and dance to cool music. You know, we're just a lifestyle away from the norm.
Okay, well this is the back of, well, I say the back of Sneakers, it's actually the back of what was the Bush on a Saturday night, but for Sneakers, this was the front door. So this is the door that I always used to come through with Shirley, because we were girlfriend and boyfriend at the time, and we always used to come before the club opened, so I had the unenviable task of just standing there waiting for everyone to gradually filter through the doors. But it was quite an interesting moment because Shirley used to play really more sort of heavy blues, R&B and blues, and the people that were really into that, more into that style of music than the soul, used to come on the early slot. So we get some of the really smart skinheads and various people that really liked what Shirley had to play particularly. And then obviously gradually the club filled up. So I usually had a bit of a lonely half hour just hanging about. It was an absolute revelation to me. I'd always liked 60s music, I'd always liked all things 60s, but to actually come to a mod club and see people that were, the things they wore, it was just incredible. It was like it opened up an amazing world to me that was so cool, and I think it was all about being cool. The music, the clothes, the lifestyle, just dancing all night, going on scooter runs, that, you know, on beautiful scooters. But I think the thing to me that was also important was that nobody, apart from obviously the mod scene, was doing it in the 80s. We were actually really considered uncool. We were really outcasts, to the point where I got slagged off at a bus stop for what I was wearing. I know somebody who got spat at, a girl, I hasten to add. You know, but it kind of gave us that extra, I'm really different, and up yours, basically.
People would come from Birmingham, Coventry, Oxford, all over London. Before it was regional, there was like a club in Deptford, which I used to go to, and that was the same, I think, in a lot of the towns in and around the suburbs. There were lots of regional clubs, but this was the only authentic mod club of this period. Very difficult to define in words. A feeling,
It's a look.
an odour. Very difficult to put in words, really. But it's about a style. Whether you're buying a piece of furniture or an item of clothing, you apply the same philosophy. You want the best.
I think, yeah, you had to be at Sneakers. I was coming to the Bush on a Saturday night for Tony Class's dues, and it was great fun. It was, you know, I was wet behind the ears. Me and my mates, we were looking for something, you know, it was our first experience of going to the club and coming to the Bush. But hearing about Sunday night, it was like Sneakers, rhythm and blues, suits. It was what we read about in Richard Barnes's book. And I remember the first night coming out and seeing a lot of the East London walking past us as we were queuing up, and they're all in tailor-made suits, and I thought, that is what I've been looking for. And it was a subconscious thing. It was what I'd subconsciously been looking for but didn't know it. And then you went inside and you heard this fantastic music, and it was just like, I finally arrived. It was what you need, where you needed to be. The sharpest guys I saw at Sneakers were Alan Hanscom and the rest of the Camden stylists. Rob Murphy, Jamie, Colin. They were just so smart. They'd taken the look through to the skinhead era. So it was the continuation of mod, and it brought a whole lot of new influence into the scene as well. And Alan, to this day, is still the smartest man I know.
I'm a London boy. I moved to Swindon in the early '80s, and I felt when I came back to Sneakers, I was sort of like coming home. But it was to meet people from on a Sunday night, you know, coming down here for 3 hours, and there's people that have travelled down from Cardiff, from Gloucester, from Birmingham. It was just amazing.